section that we as a society have really paid less attention to. If everyone cannot be employed by the government, then what else should people do? Well, to help me understand what the focus is on this morning on entrepreneurship and its impact on the economic state of the country, I've been joined this morning by Chioma, who is the executive director of Skill Up with Kahdsole this morning, and she will help us understand. Good morning to you, Chioma.
Good morning. How are you doing? It's really nice to be here this morning.
And well, thanks for asking. Good to have you here also. So let's kickstart this conversation by helping to understand what exactly do we mean when we say entrepreneurship, or who's an entrepreneur?
All right. So really great to be here, and morning viewers, listeners rather. It's really great to be here. An entrepreneur is, we know the dictionary meaning, someone that sees a problem and decides to, look for innovative or creative ways to solve the problem. But right now, I think with the way the world is going, I would describe an entrepreneur as someone that looks for innovative ways to create opportunities for others, not just themselves, but for others. That's what I see an entrepreneur as, because looking at what is happening now, entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship is what is really helping. It's like a backbone for Nigeria, because we'll be talking about Nigeria a lot. It's a backbone for Nigeria at the moment. So, and looking at the way we say innovation, creativity, sustainability, and scalability, it has helped me to understand that an entrepreneur is someone that has looked for innovative and creative ways to create opportunities for others around them.
So, from the premise of what you stated now, looking for innovative ways to find solution, I would maybe wish that's it surpasses the first definition. So that looks very attractive now. So it means looking for innovative solution to the problems around. So in itself, do we have a job problem in this country? Do you buy into that argument that there is unemployment in this country and entrepreneurship would be the silver bullet for us to solving this?
Oh, we know that for ages past, there has been a lot of problems in Nigeria. However, because of the volume of the number of youths we have, almost 60% of our population is made up of youths. And statistics have shown that over 13 million Nigerians are unemployed or even lack dignified means of income. 13 million. Even if it's just 1 million Nigerians, like it's a problem, because these are people that now start resorting to social vices for end means. And looking at the way there are a lot of people complaining, you could be on your way to maybe a particular location in Lagos and right now, and then you're so unsafe, you want to hold your phones so tight because you don't want to misplace your phones. And this is because these people lack dignified means of income. If they had opportunities like access to skills and every other thing, they might have been creating, opportunities for themselves, making money. But just because they don't have these opportunities, it has made them to resort to social vices. And yes, there are graduates, there are a lot of graduates that are really brilliant, had good grades, and then they don't just get jobs. And at the end of the day, what do they resort to? Starting up their own businesses, looking for innovative ways to start. And no man is an island. You can't start the business on your own. You might have the idea, but you need people, because your skill set might be totally different from, the other people you need in the space or in your chain of your business. So you need to look for an operations manager. Maybe you're good in human resource. You need an operations manager. You need a marketing team. So obviously, entrepreneurship is the solution to the problem we have in Nigeria. Thank you.
We would get to, you mentioned, you raised issues of skills, certification in just this short moment of the opening of this conversation. But I'd like us to close up one aspect you raised.
Okay.
Do we have employable graduates out there? Because that's what I want to clear out first. Maybe that's why we have this amount, about 13 million you mentioned, unemployed. Let's even say not even all of them are graduates, but most of these graduates churned out of institutions or polytechnics or vocational institutions, employable.
Okay, so this question is actually very great, because I like that you've just asked. There are a lot of Nigerians that are, they've been educated, right? They have the grades and all. Now, but about employability, I feel like there are a lot that we still lack a bit in our educational system, right? There we might be so they teach us a lot of things, and at the end of the day, it's not really helpful for these young people to help themselves after they are done with school. So they have to now go back again. But one thing I really love about Nigerian youth is the fact that whenever we see opportunities to help us get better, we utilize it, right? That's why most times when you put out a call for application of learning a skill, there are a lot of people applying for it. Now, let me drag this back to what we do at Skill Up with Kahdsole, Sook. At Sook, right, we train young people in vital vocational skills. However, these skills are very great. They can help you get jobs. But now what makes you employable sometimes are the soft skills, like your marketing skills, your financial management skills, and every other thing. So we also now leverage on partnership to help these young people to learn these skills from the Enterprise Development Center with the help of the MasterCard on the Transforming Youth program. So now these young people now learn these skills that can now help them now utilize what they've learned. So you have the skill now. You also have the soft skill to make you employable, because it's one thing to learn a skill. Let's say, let me use, for example, a skill in auto mechanic. And it's another thing to be able to market yourself for people to see. And it's also another thing for you to be able to manage your finances, to be financially transparent, so that when you also get opportunity for funding, it can help you. So at the moment, I might not really say, a lot of people are learning a lot of skills that can help them to be employable, but we need to do more. In as much as we want to teach them the hard skills that can help get them jobs. But however, we need to also start finding ways to infuse training or giving them opportunities to learn the skills that can now make them employable and stay in the employment.
This is it. It still leads me now to the next question. Now, if one had spent 4 years in the university, maybe 3 polytechnic and all of those, how early should we, our educational system, or even the family or parents, expose children or youth to entrepreneurship?
Okay, you see, the exposing youth to entrepreneurship, right? I understand something. Back at us at Sook again, we make sure that at least you have a secondary school certificate before we can train you in a vocational skill that can make you employable or start gaining income for yourself. We didn't do this because we wanted to make it very constrained, because a lot of people that don't have access to going to this school, but then the state has made it possible for people to get into secondary school at least and primary school for free. So we make sure that if you at least can utilize that to go to school, that means you are eager and willing to want to, learn more and start growing yourself. So for me, I feel like the best thing is if parents can see that you can train your children in the soft skills if you're already in the entrepreneurial space as a parent, but just allow them to actually get the basic certification. So it helps them to, have a broader mind and understanding of things. And after that, if, for example, you don't have access to now further the education into the university, polytechnic, or college of education, you can now start finding opportunities for them to learn these skills. Because trust me, we have certifications like NAPTEP that makes you learning a vocational skill be qualified to get a job somewhere. So if you have a NAPTEP certification in a vocational skill that you could learn in 3 months or 1 year, depending on the time of that particular skill, you can easily use it to get a job. So if you learn electric work, for example, you could use it to become a company's electrician. So it's better that the parents are at the earliest moment to start training, especially when they know that those children don't have access to opportunities. Try as much as possible to look for where these children could learn credible skills and get credible credentials that they can use anywhere to start. You must not also be a full-time university graduate to get jobs. As long as you can learn a skill and get certifications that are accredited, then trust me, it's great for you to learn.
So is it possible to have entrepreneurship side by side, let's say domiciled in universities, and not affect the learning process, let's say in formal education, let's say in the university?
Oh,
that
yes.
way you're coming out, it's not strange to you any longer, you're prepared with the tool.
Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of universities that are very great at doing this. There's a private university, and there's also the Pan-Atlantic University, which is EDC and Lagos Business School. So what they do is in their own university, from the 100 level, they try to teach these young students entrepreneurial skills. They give them opportunity to talk about what their ideas are. It doesn't deviate or change their thought about having a formal education. So they try to teach them entrepreneurial skills, because we know that the number of jobs out there are more than the number of graduates that come out. So we need more people to have been able to be well equipped, well understandable, and knowledgeable of what they are doing, so that by the time they are out, all they can now start looking for is access to funding. I know for schools that even create opportunities for the budding entrepreneurs in those universities to pitch for grants that now help them to keep running these businesses. They can even employ while they're still in school. So it's very possible. And we've had really brilliant minds come out and say, oh, while I was still in school, I was doing this. And at the end of the day, I was able to start this. And you know what surprised me the most? I wish I had those opportunities while I was back in my own school. This thing surprised me the most, that they now create successful businesses. You see them not coming out and looking clueless about what they are doing. And you see these people telling you, you might be so shocked. Someone will tell you, I've been running a business for 6 years. And you're like, you just graduated last year. And they tell you, oh, last 2 years. They're like, yeah, I was doing it while I was in school. And I was able to learn this and this. And these businesses are very successful. They know what they are doing. They know where they are getting to. And yeah.
Let's give the skills we are talking about. Let's take it home now, so that people give it, so it does not like it's vague. So what exactly, when we say skills, let's begin to mention some of the skills, and so that people can begin to relate with what we are talking about, like the skills, for example, that you can now get, and then that in itself becomes a seed that blooms into a tree that others can tap into.
All right. So for the skills is in two ways. If we're looking at especially the underserved that I'm really focused on, we start with the tangible skills that we can, work with our hands. Like, let's say skills in shoemaking, auto mechanic, tailoring, photography, mention it, shoemaking, a lot of things. Now, these are the skills that they can easily learn, because if we're looking at the tech skills are so nice, but there are a lot of things.
Stay with your shoes for now. Just keep your shoes on. We'll get to mention all of that and tech issues after now. You're listening to Lagos Talk Special on Smooth 98.1 FM. When we come back, we shall get calls in on 014489981. Entrepreneurship as the way to get us out of the present economic situation of unemployment. That and more after this. Okay. You're saying? Are you talking to me? Okay, good. We're smooth, 98.1 FM. We're back. It is time for us to get into the conversation once again. It's still entrepreneurship and its impact on the economic state of the country, and how to get youth truly empowered and liberate them to be free financially and otherwise. Let's continue the conversation. I still got Chioma Ukpabi still with me. She's the executive director of the Kahdsole, executive director, Skill Up with Kahdsole. So before we're identifying those skills we're talking about, that's as a result of looking for innovative solution to, because that's where this is all starting from, innovative solution now to people's problems, and that becomes a business that you can use for survival. So you were mentioning shoemaking and others.
Yes. So okay. So looking at what I was saying earlier, I said learning these skills can be divided into two. So there could be tangible skills that they could do with their hands, and there are soft skills that can now help those tangible skills to, successfully grow to be better. So I'm going to be using what we do at SOUP, which is Skill Up with Kahdsole, to measure. So first of all, we go to underserved communities, and we know that now there's a really great buzz about tech skills, learn this, learn that. But these young people might not have had the kind of advantage certain people had or certain people have to be able to learn these skills. So they have to start going from the basics, and it gets, maybe if they don't understand the big picture, it gets boring. So yes, we decided that what we're going to do, we're not going to leverage technology for good. So we started training them in skills like vocational skills like shoemaking, tailoring. Now, these are things that they could hand down, learn, and also hand down to others, even to their families. And these are things that they can use to start making money immediately. And there are things that they can see that is happening around them. Hairdressing, they could learn all these things and start making money quickly. And they don't have to wait for a very long time when they have to look for people that trust them to work with. And when they're done learning these skills, we now move to the second part of it. Now you've learned the skills for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to a year. You're now good at what you're doing, and you're now trying to make money. However, how do you now build a business out of this? How can you become an entrepreneur? We now start teaching them soft skills. Now we start teaching them skills in marketing, financial management, operations management. Now these are the things that now help them to now say, okay, what I've learned I can now become more innovative about it. And when they move from this to this level, you see them thinking. They're now thinking better off. So yes, these are the kind of skills. And also, we also need graduates to also learn these skills as well. Skills that could also help them while they are on their jobs. Because we have a lot of people do something in school, and then at the end of the day, they see themselves doing something else after school because of the way the country is. But the good thing is that we now have organizations teaching these things for free, for little cost, subsidized cost for those that want to go, professional or higher or advanced in these particular courses, and it would help them. So whether you're a graduate or you're not a graduate, whether you've been to the university or not, it's very important for you to be able to learn those soft skills.
Well, let's dig deep into this one, because entrepreneurship might be coming across as something not so strange to some persons. And so where did we do the disconnect? Because we could find models in some parts of the country. I have the southeastern part in my mind as I raise this question. Entrepreneurship comes as breathing, in the southeastern part of the country, where as soon as you, at a certain point, you go on to work for someone, an uncle, or probably someone your father knows, and then the process, even fathers would even get their sons to work for them and then settle them on, and then it passes on. So why didn't we why did we lose it at some point? That's why we're now rediscovering this gold we have with us all this while, that, look, you don't have to wait for anyone to employ you.
All right, so we didn't lose it at some point, right? Some organizations, most especially in the informal sector, you see a lot of them still working with apprenticeship. So recently, I was passing somewhere on the island, and I saw a list of job openings at a banner for that particular organization. It was on the island, and then I read through it. I was like, oh wow, they're looking for a nail technician, they're looking for a hairdresser. And then at the last part of that list, I saw apprentice. They're looking for apprentice as well. So I was like, wow. So out of all these job roles here, there's still a position for people that want to come and apprentice
Learn.
under this organization. And I was so happy. And immediately I stopped. I took my phone and took a picture of that banner because it was something that resonated with me. Right now, it's very important for us to understand that learning these skills are great. However, the reason why in the eastern part it was really, really great was the fact that what now makes these young men or women successful when they are being settled is the fact that they were apprentices. They were learning how to, do this business properly. In fact, they were getting mentors. One thing that has helped me so far as a young woman in business is the fact that I had mentors at a very young age. I had mentors from my lecturers. I had mentors from my community. I had mentors in my mom. I had a mentor in my mom's friends. I had a lot of mentors. And now they've helped me to be able to understand. So when people see me, wow, I like the way Chioma does this thing. I smile and I'm like, oh, wow, it's the help of mentorship. Even till today, I still have mentors both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. And they're broadening my mind. So now, I don't think we lost that. It's just that the fact that, as trends come in, Nigerians are very quick. We know how trends are. Trends can come on right now, and then everyone is on that trend. And once the trend is out, everyone leaves it. Just like the app that came out. Everyone followed the app the first day. It had like 1 million people on the app. And
yes.
Now we don't even know where it's. So Nigerians are like, so now the thing is, we need to start building the culture back again. Right now, that is why we decided to go through the apprenticeship model. We didn't just come to say, learn a skill and go. We brought the apprenticeship model where these young people can learn the skill and be mentored by people that are professionals, people that have had 15, 20 years experience teaching them how to come to early to work, how to, these are things that they are seeing with their eyes. They are building themselves. That's why we decided to go on this model. And this body can learn a skill online and not be, disciplined to be able to run that skill in a structured manner. But when we use the apprenticeship model, we're seeing these young people learn. So it didn't die off. It's just that the trend might not be as much as before, but people are still doing it.
I like that you touched on, we jump on trends, and then you also mentioned tech. It is the craze now, coding and all of the other things that come with it. So I'd like you to speak on that and what's the opportunity out there for young people to jump on it and then build something out of it for themselves.
Okay. Dear young people, it's very important for you to understand that every trend is not for everyone, right? So there's a trend now, everyone is learning coding. I would like to say that it's very interesting and enticing for you to want to code, do robotics, come up with a wow idea. But at the end of the day, it might get boring and it might not be your thing. So the first thing for us to be able to understand is that we need to understand what we really want. If you are someone that is good with the hard part, maybe in logistics, you're very good as a HR person, try to build yourself and find ways you can leverage technology to make it easier for you. You must not now have to go and learn how to. In my organization, I'm not this chief technology officer. I'm the executive director, and I have the roles I handle. I have partnerships to handle. I have strategic planning to do. However, we have our growth officer, we have our operations manager, and they're all leveraging technology to make the work easier for us as an organization. So we wouldn't want to say that everyone would have to go into coding. No, if it was maybe because of a social tech organization, maybe we would have all had coding skills. That's not the way it works. So you need to find out where your strengths are and now leverage on it, and now leverage on technology to make it easier for you. That is why technology is here. This is a social impact. Maybe someone can call us a social enterprise, but we decided to use technology, to make it seamless and easier to reach more people. Because if we wanted to manually do it as a social enterprise, we might just be limited to just Lagos. But right now, people in our beneficiaries in Lagos can easily get orders or jobs from other cities in Nigeria. People that we've also touched their lives in Aba can easily get jobs from Lagos because we are using technology to connect them with their customers. So you need to understand how that your skill set might not be for you to code, but your skill set might be something that you need to leverage, because right now technology is the way forward. You have to leverage it to now make the job easier for you. So
Okay, I still got, if you would throw more light on this, on how powerful entrepreneurship has helped societies stand. There are models. Let's even move out of the country so we understand the impact. For in Japan, in China, it's not really, we see all of the businesses we celebrate as big names somewhere when they get here, and they are entrepreneurships. So, can we as a people pick models and motivation from that, knowing that all of this are just individuals doing their thing?
Okay, so this is a very great thing. I like the fact that recently I've noticed a trend in the entrepreneurial space. Nigerians are really hopping on opportunities. And I love the fact that organizations from outside Nigeria in the Western world are now giving Africans an opportunity, Nigeria inclusive, an opportunity to now go out of Nigeria to maybe for fellowships, for seminars, for opportunities that now open and broaden our minds to be with other global leaders. And once we are back, we now try to now leverage the things we've learned outside in those fellowships to now come back and make. That's why now we are innovation has now become one of the key criteria for people to be able to be selected for opportunities, or for people to be able to access opportunities. You need to be innovative. So now what we need to do is now start looking for ways to learn models. We need to study. There's a SWOT analysis I always use whenever I get into any room. I try as much as possible to develop my strengths, my weaknesses, opportunities I could actually leverage on, and the threats of that opportunity back in Nigeria. And then most times I focus on the opportunities so that it helps me to always want to leverage on that particular fellowship I've been to, or the particular opportunity I've had access to. So once I leverage on those opportunities, I get to start seeing that, okay, wow, this is the way I could work with these people and now help us to, grow, advance what we are doing or improve what we are doing. And then it helps me to now start building on my
You will come
weaknesses
back,
as an
well,
organization. So
you would get to finish up on that point after this
yes.
time. So, but if you just joined in, we'll be taking calls after now. Let's see if you are an entrepreneur out there and you faced major challenge in your small business space. You will be having chance to speak with Chioma, Ukpabi, and then you can share experience and what you feel the government can do to make this better for you. So we'd like to hear all of those. Or you know someone who's also skilled and would fit into this kind of space that we're talking about. This is the time for you to get across and give us a call on 014489981 after this time. We're smooth 98.1 FM, 27 minutes now before we hit the 10 o'clock mark, but not before we get this conversation, entrepreneurship and its impact on economic state of the country and getting more youth to embrace it is what this is all about, the conversation. So we can get the calls in on 014489981. What has been the major challenge faced in your small business, in your small niche, that you would go out to every day to eke out a living? Would like to hear that, and how you feel if that is taken away would make that small business thrive better for you. So let's hear what you have to say. Or perhaps you know someone, and let's also hear from you on 014489981 will be where to get the messages. And then also we would also like to read WhatsApp messages if they do come in on 0809444091. So I'm back to you, Chioma Ukpabi. Let's get this conversation going. So you were speaking before we went on that short one.
Oh, okay. So I think you need to help me bring me back before we went for that short break.
So I was looking at, you were talking how you could leverage your skills and become better by making sure you there's an interconnection with people.
Okay, so as a small business in Nigeria, it's very important for us to understand that there are a lot of things that constrain us, right? I feel like in let me use this funny example. I go for programs and I hear a lot of women or a lot of business owners say, "Oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like showing my face in my business." And I'm like, how do you not want to help people solve a problem? You might be an introvert. You might be someone that just wants to be on your own. But I feel like as a business owner, the language "I'm an introvert" is not supposed to be in your dictionary. I don't know anybody can actually really say that, because you need to speak about, what you're doing better. So you need to advertise yourself so well, because people will believe in what you're doing when they get to see you. So leveraging on opportunities is when you see opportunities for fellowships, whether it has monetary benefits at the end of the program or it doesn't have, you need to leverage on this. These are opportunities for you to be able to speak about your business. These are opportunities for you to be able to show yourself, even if it's an opportunity for you to just show your face or let them just hear, "My name is Chioma Ukpabi," and that is it. You need to leverage on it as a small business owner for you to be out there, so for example, you might be a top 20 in something, but they're just giving 3 people the opportunity to maybe win a certain amount of grant or receive a certain amount of funding. Now, it is great that you are top 20 because, one, your name has gotten on that particular publication. They could just say, okay, our top 20, our top 10, our top 15, and then they put you, your logo, and what you're doing. You might not be the winner, but your name is there. These are things you can leverage on. There are a lot of business owners I really admire. Some of my friends I really admire. Things as tiny as top 500. They go as far as, talking about it. And at the end of the day, what happens? Their name rings a bell. In fact, I go somewhere and I'm like, "Oh, is that person not here?" Then I go, "The person is not here." I'm like, "What happened?" I would not want to know what really happened. Why didn't you come? Because I know the person is always on those opportunities. People might think it's annoying or you don't have anything you're doing, but as a small business, please try as much as possible to be everywhere you can, or leverage technology of social media to put yourself in every map that you can, so that you can, by the time you're big, you can now decide to say, "Oh, I don't like being in events. I want to be on my own." But then we know that then you start earning maybe $1 million salary in a month, then you cannot start doing those things. But now that you're still trying to, I need to pay my 2 or 3 staff I have before I can now pay myself as the CEO. You don't need to start hiding yourself. Put yourself out there, and then people will know you.
Building up from what you just mentioned now, one person gets a skill. It needs 1, 2, 3 person to support that skill. That's job creation. That's from what that alone. So if this is what it takes, then why are people still slow on this to lash on to skill acquisition? Now, link me up to, I'd like you to speak on obstacles you can identify that impede entrepreneurship in Nigeria.
Sorry, I didn't get the last thing. Obstacles that I identified.
That's obstacles that stand in the way, that's in the way of entrepreneurship in Nigeria.
Oh, okay. There are a lot of things. People would say access to funding, right, would really be an obstacle for businesses or entrepreneurship in Nigeria to strive. But for me, one for all, I believe that inflation is something that is seriously an obstacle for entrepreneurship in Nigeria. I said something yesterday. I said, you might see a price of something today, and you say, oh, okay, tomorrow I would message her to tell her that she should deliver this to my house because that's when they're paying salaries. And then by the time you message her after 2 days, she tells you, oh, 27,000 naira is now 29,500. And you're like, I saw it for 27,000. We even talked about it for 25,000. The person now says, okay, you know what? Let me sell it to you at 27,000, my cost price, so that I can get my money back. These things affect entrepreneurship because by the time people get to, still maintain their cost price, they still maintain their cost price every single time. They're not getting profits from it. How do they want to buy more goods additional to what they've sold, So these are the things that really are obstacles for entrepreneurs. Inflation, then access to funding. By the time if there are no inflation, if things don't just rise today and keep rising, people would make money that can now help them to, keep boosting the business till external funding can now come to help them now skyrocket or triple what they have already started, right? So I think these are the obstacles at the moment that are really affecting us as entrepreneurs, and it really scares people to want to now invest into the same businesses. And how will I invest my whole savings into a business or my whole funding into a business, and at the end of the day I'm not really getting what I want? And again, the buying power of the people has drastically reduced. There's inflation. They have other things to pay for. They have school fees, they have house rents, they even have transportation to go to work to make that money. And then the transportation itself has doubled. In Lagos, we were so excited about the 50%. In fact, people queue on BRTs because 250 naira was what would take you from Ajah to Obalende. And then now, it has gone back to 500 naira for BRT and 1,000 naira for small buses. How does that person now want to buy what you're selling at the moment? Because the person has to transport him or herself to work to be able to get money to feed the family, that when he even wants to go and buy those things to feed the family, it's still high. So these are the things. It's not access to the funding. The funding now these days, in fact, women are really enjoying. For any grant, there is priority. In fact, it's always written there. Women I strongly encouraged to apply. There are opportunities now out there for women. Except these women want to get bigger loans, then we can now say the interest rate does not favor them. But right now, inflation is making a lot of people not to want to start businesses. People that would have initially wanted to start business, when they remember that today I might pay my house rent, my shop rent for 700,000 naira, but by next year, my landlord might say it's 1 million naira. They refrain themselves from starting. Then they now want to start a small business that is a one-man kind of business. And then they will just want to do it on their own. They want to learn everything and do everything. They are the social media manager, they are the operations manager, because they are working from their houses. And there are some things that requires you to bring in people. So these things are what has affected most businesses not to start. These things are the things that have affected most businesses not to continue. And these are the things that have affected most businesses to stay stagnant at where they are. So
that in itself, but if you talk about shops, and people would say the social media has gotten to that point where it is seeming to want to make the brick and mortar walls not relevant any longer. You can have an online shop.
Well, let's start by this. You can have an online shop, but as a carpenter, for example,
you can't have an online shop.
Yes, you have an online presence. People get to see you online. People get to order for you online, but you cannot manufacture the chairs or the tables or any other furniture on Instagram.
Online. You might be on Instagram.
Yeah, I get it. Somewhere. Yeah. And you need people to come somewhere to be able to manufacture those things. That is one. There are skills that requires online. They are great skills. But however, the market, what would happen at the end of the day? The market gets saturated. And then a lot of people that are not doing the work will now hide under an online shop. You go online, you see things like no refund. Then they put an X, a very big X, no exchange. Then when you pay 50,000 naira for something, the person tells you it is in our policy, no refund. But when you have a space for and then it now affects the genuine people that don't do those things to get customers.
Mm.
I don't know why. I don't know how it happens, but most times you see those people that have those no refunds, they have loyalty. The loyalty rate they have is so high compared to those people that don't have those policies. All right. So there are things that requires online. You need an online presence, but your store online, people need to work inside for certain of the services you might be rendering.
Okay, gradually we are approaching the point where we'll say thank you to you, but we still got a couple of more questions for you to go in. But so at some point we might ask you to just hold on a bit while we just clear up some things, and then we'll come back for you to finish up. So this issue of entering a business after getting a skill as an entrepreneur, and you're getting to meet people who are established already, big corporate players. That's who you're dealing with. Because so how getting to how do you manage that confidence to play in that space, survive where big sharks are? What do you say to people in that situation right now? How do you begin to encourage people?
So first of all, I I'm playing in a sector where there are big players, like there are non-profit big players in this sector, right? But what I did was my team and I came together, especially my co-founder and I. We figured out the white space. What are the white spaces? Like my co-founder would explain it. Say, white spaces are those areas that the big players see as negligible. I don't think I want to stress myself being in this space, right? Let me just keep playing the people that have already gotten their
All right.
loyalty. Let me play.
Let's not stress you now, but when we come, you build on this out, you build up on that point, and then we close up this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Chioma Ukpabi, as we're speaking on the entrepreneurship and its impact on the economic state of the country and how youth can take advantage and get themselves employed and become useful. We're Smooth 98.1 FM. We're back and let's get the conversation going as we get to wrap it up this morning. Still looking at entrepreneurship and its impact on the economic state of the country. And Chioma Ukpabi is still with me. So Chioma, you were speaking of the kind of courage it takes to be an entrepreneur in Nigeria, coming into a space where there are big players already. And one wonders, what gives you this kind of confidence?
Well, like I said in the beginning of this talk, I said that it is very important for you to, know that no man is an island. You can't do it on your own. Whether you're doing it as a one-man business, you might leverage on mentorship, you might leverage on access to coaching and opportunities for you to grow. You still need people to be able to push. And I think what has really given me the confidence here in my organization is the team I've built over the years. These are amazing people that understand what...
Yes, you have to move the connection. Your connection isn't stable at this moment.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Better. Yes, it's better.
So I think what has really helped me so far has been my team. My team has this very great understanding. I've worked together with them. I've taken them as a family, and I make everybody involved. And that was what has helped us this far in what we're doing. And that's what builds my confidence. It's like when they say, is this adage my grandma used to tell me. She used to say, when you know the people that back you, you go into a fight, and then you're like, I have people backing me, right? Now, these are people that have my back. When you go into a room, I know that when they say we're looking for the operations, how does the operation flow? And you're speaking about it, and you'll be very confident speaking about it because you know that there are a team of operations people that are helping you out. When it comes to your growth strategy, you have a growth team that helps you out, a growth officer that helps you out with that. And you're speaking about it. Even when it comes to financials, even though, yes, sometimes financials are the part where I run from, but I know the basics of it. When I go into a space and I speak, people know that I have a knowledge or an idea of what I'm speaking about because I have a team. So my team so far, building a great, excellent team has been what has given me the confidence to keep pushing. And yes, to crown it all, God that gave the idea, like we always say, the God that gives you the idea will give you the strategy to run the idea. So God has really helped me so far, in building this idea, having to know the right people to pick at a time, having to know the right opportunity to leverage on, and so far, this has been my confidence strategy to date.
Finally, this looks at this level to say you are an entrepreneur at a small level for those in your class. But I need you to speak finally to those who every day when they wake up in the morning, they step out. For them, it's a hand-to-mouth situation. What do we make out to take home today? I'd like you to speak to how they can survive and begin to see these things you talk about, the need to have a team and begin to reach out to people.
Okay, so there's something I live on. When you decide to, I think my partner said that to me. He said 50 Cent something that 50 Cent, the musician, says something. He said that he loves seeing people that might not have it all, but know how to act rich, right? So you might not have everything, but when you start, so let's start by this. When I first started, I was just the only person in my organization. And it was more like the situation, the hand-to-mouth kind of situation. Until someone comes to order, I will not be able to, help myself. But, I think one thing I did was I never let my environment to determine my situation in the future or my future, right? So what I did was I started engaging in conversations. I could be on radio, I might be on Instagram and I see where someone is going to be on radio to speak about something. I might just plug in my earphones and I want to listen to what that person has to say. It might be Zoom meetings. I just log into these Zoom meetings and I can even start up conversations in buses. Like then I used to sell inside Danfo bus. You might think people in Danfo might not be able to pay for things, but they want to pay. They are happy when they see you talking about, oh, this is what I do. They're like, or you start up a conversation and you intelligently speak to them. As long as you're doing something and you can intelligently engage in conversations, it will open doors for you. And then you can start building structures even as a person. You can build structures of, okay, you have an email for when you want to answer as the operations person. You have something for this. You have your call time. You have to. You can start with that structure.
So
and
the woman who does the roasted plantain can we can take a business from that small thing to a level where,
truthfully, if you're selling roasted, I was telling someone something. I have a friend actually sells plantain. She makes a lot of money, not roasted, but she sells this plantain with the way it is still in the bunch.
Yes.
Right. So jokingly, we were speaking, and I told her, if you could do a customized apron, and you're helping people, a customized apron is one time, so you're not even getting to even do it every single time. And people come and they see you as maybe, what sold Timaya? Was it not plantain seller?
Plantain is a plantain boy. Yeah.
So plantain boy. So imagine having that and you're like, oh, number one plantain woman. People would read it and they will laugh. Gradually, you start, these are the ways you could actually do all these things. You could start up conversations and don't hide what you're doing. I also noticed that a lot of people get to say, oh, I'm a hairdresser, I'm a roadside hairdresser, and you are shy of saying it. Come on, do you know how much wig makers are making?
Chioma,
these wig sellers.
We have to go now.
I even have people will tell you, oh, these people, these people that sell pure water, that have trucks, right? First of all, when I saw them, I'm like, trucks. But you know that being in that business now has made me understand that those selling pure water or distributing pure water, there is huge market for it and there is money in it. So
that's a wrap. It's a wrap. Honestly, we really had an engaging conversation, and I believe everyone listening today made something out of it. We say thank you very much, Chioma Ukpabi, Executive Director, Skill Up with Kahdsole. Thank you so much.